even though the employee who was recovering from opioid dependency was qualified to continue performing her job. Bollinger placed the worker on involuntary, indefinite, unpaid leave.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Boss Watch is a segment that we do every week of the program where we take a look at how bosses are breaking the law in the South. Over in Florida, Enterprise Leasing Company of Florida, which operates National Enterprise and Alamo car rental services in Florida, will pay $1.8 million and provide significant non-monetary relief to settle a federal age discrimination lawsuit, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission announced last week. In its lawsuit, the EEOC charged that Enterprise had failed to hire candidates aged 40 or older for its management trainee position from at least 2019 to the present. While approximately 15% of the applications the company received for the position were submitted by applicants age 40 or above, these workers represented less than 3% of all hires. The EEOC identified over 125 witnesses who could testify that they were asked their age or graduation year during the process. We're told by company hiring officials that most candidates were fresh out of college, were discouraged from pursuing the position, or were subjected to other age-related comments. Over a third of the adult workforce in the United States is aged 50 or older, said EEOC Regional Attorney Kristen Foslid. Employers cannot overlook qualified applicants simply because of their age. Such alleged conduct violates the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, the ADEA. The EEOC filed suit in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of California, Fort Lauderdale Division, after first attempting to reach a voluntary pre-litigation settlement through its conciliation process. In addition to providing monetary relief to the class of older applicants, the 3-year consent decree requires Enterprise to implement sweeping injunctive relief, implementing new ADEA policies, yearly ADEA training, posting of a notice about the lawsuit, and mandatory investigations of all complaints of age discrimination. Enterprise also agreed to extensive biannual reporting provisions, including an applicant tracking system, which will require the company to provide accurate data to the EEOC about its hiring decisions. Finally, as part of the agreement, Enterprise will maintain an ethics hotline, which can be found on the company's webpage in the Code of Conduct, where all applicants and employees can report complaints of discrimination. In Alabama, Bollinger Shipyards, a provider of marine construction, repair, and conversion services employing more than 300 workers at 10 shipyards located across the Mississippi and Louisiana coasts, violated federal law by excluding an employee from work because she used a prescription medication to treat opioid dependency, the U.S. EEOC charged in a lawsuit last week. The EEOC charged that Bollinger placed the worker on involuntary, indefinite, unpaid leave in April 2024 from her position as a ship fitter at the company's facility in Pascagoula, Mississippi, after it learned of her prescription. Bollinger excluded the worker even though the worker had performed her role safely and competently. The agency alleged that the employee, who was recovering from opioid dependency, used her medication lawfully under her physician's supervision and was qualified to continue performing her job. Marcia Rucker, regional attorney for the EEOC's Birmingham district, said, as the federal agency charged with enforcement of the Americans with Disabilities Act, we will vigorously enforce that indispensable law and will act when companies make discriminatory decisions based on generalized fears or stereotypical assumptions about individuals with disabilities. Such alleged conduct violates the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, which guarantees equal employment opportunity to individuals with disabilities. The ADA's prohibition against disability discrimination prohibits an employer from excluding an employee because of their disability or their treatment unless the employee creates a significant risk of substantial harm to the health or safety of the worker or others, unless it would cause an undue hardship for the employer. The EEOC filed suit in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Mississippi after attempting to reach a pre-litigation settlement through its conciliation process. The EEOC seeks monetary damages, including back pay, compensatory damages, and punitive damages, as well as injunctive relief designed to prevent such unlawful conduct in the future.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Workers die on the job every day in the United States. Y'all know this if you listen to the program. 100 workers every week. Frustratingly, most of these deaths are preventable, but they are often not investigated due to underfunding at OSHA, and often the community doesn't even know that it happened. Even though OSHA is even more hamstrung than before, there's sometimes a small news story whenever someone dies at work because it is such a terrible thing to happen in the community. And so on the Confined Space newsletter set up by Jordan Barab, a former OSHA official, they compile as many news stories on worker deaths as they can find every week. In addition to this newsletter, they regularly host commentary and analysis pieces about labor and workplace safety. You can find it all at jordanbarab.com/confined space. This week, they found 30 stories of deaths on the job, including 10 from the South. Let's take a look at a couple of those. In San Antonio, Texas, a man is dead after a jet engine fell on him at Port San Antonio on the southwest side. It happened around 4:40 p.m. on Friday at General Hudnell Drive and Warner Circle. Police tell us a man in his 70s was helping a coworker move the engine on a dolly in the loading dock area. He tried reaching for something. The dolly started rolling and knocked him off the dock. The engine fell on top of him, killing him. The San Antonio Fire Department said the victim was dead when they arrived. Police are calling this a freak workplace accident and say the engine weighed more than 2.5 tons. In Knoxville, Tennessee, the Knox County Sheriff's Office and the Tennessee Occupational Safety and Health Administration are investigating the death of a 24-year-old man at a West Knox County construction site. Thursday night, KCSO said the major crimes unit was called to a construction site off Lovell Road after receiving a report of a 24-year-old man getting pinned by an excavator against a rock bucket and suffering life-threatening injuries. KSO said the man was transported to the hospital where he died from his injuries. And then in Lindsay, Virginia, an electrician died last week following an accident at the construction site of Lindsay Manufacturing's new galvanizing facility. On September 11th, a 37-year-old man was transported from Lindsay Manufacturing to Boone County Hospital in Albion, where he was pronounced dead, according to the Platte County Sheriff Ed Wemhoff. The sheriff said the death investigation was turned over to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. An obituary indicated that the man involved in the accident was Anthony Allner of Blue Hill. Allner was working for Interstates, an electrical and automation business with its headquarters in Sioux Center, Iowa. If you want to read the rest, you can subscribe to the newsletter at jordanbarab.com/confined space. I recommend doing that. And then finally, this segment of Boss Watch, Union Busters, covering national updates, is sponsored by Labor Lab. Labor Lab is an employer watchdog organization, and they are committed to safeguarding the right to organize through unions, collective bargaining, and mutual aid. They do this by combing through reports that Union Busters are required to file with the Department of Labor. Here are the new filings from this week. Centurion of Maryland hired Healthcare Labor Solutions. Despite that, workers still won the union election 27-20, but the Union Busters didn't file until after the election was announced. And Lewis Dreyfus Company in Indiana hired Government Resources Consultants of America, GRCA, but the workers won the election 66-16. And again, the Union Buster did not file the required filings until after the election was over. And that brings us to the reminder that due to a lack of enforcement, some labor relations consultants may disregard the law and fail to promptly report their activities to the U.S. Department of Labor. Therefore, it is crucial for organizers and workers to report suspected persuader activity to the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Labor Management Standards. It's crucial for organizers and workers to report that activity to the OLMS, and you can reach them by email at olms-public@dol.gov, by calling 202-693-0123, or by contacting your nearest OLMS office. And if you need assistance with that, you can reach out to Labor Lab at contact@laborlab.us.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.